What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies. We're still quarantined. We're going insane, but we are happy to be here. I'm Michael Larson. That's Jared Larson and Scott Panza here to bring you, draft week prep. Draft the night before the greatest night of 32 kids' lives. How are we feeling?
I mean, just inject the draft into my veins. Just give me anything right now. I can't watch any more reruns of old football, old basketball games, or, another subpar movie because I've seen everything on Netflix. I'm just watching terrible movies. I'm begging people to send me movie recommendations. They don't pan out. Give me some good stuff. So I'm fired up.
Yeah. How horny is the American sports fan for this draft? I cannot imagine, like the just pent up demand for this. Because I'm with Scott. Like, although I will say, Last Dance on Sunday night got the juices flowing a little bit, but it's not the same. It's not the same as live action of guys that will actually. I mean, which little sidebar here? Who saw the cocktails that MJ had?
Strong
like
bars.
Stiffies to the top.
Loved it.
And then it with the light, it was, it was daytime and it was all the way at the top. And then you could tell it was like dusk and it got in the middle. And then it was nighttime and it was all the way back up to the top again. I'm like, whoa, buddy. This guy's just getting sauced, like airing all the dirty laundry of the 97, 98 Bulls. But that was good.
Was that the reason why his eyes were all messed up? Because he had
just
weird
yellow
stuff going on with his eyes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if it was the cocktails or something else going on. But I'm not
he's
speaking of his airness because, I saw Space Jam in the theaters.
Yeah, he's definitely a boozer. But I'm pumped for the draft. I usually watch the first day and then who cares? But I'll probably be tuned in to other days this year just because we are here in quarantine, and decent amount of Auburn players I think will get picked.
Yeah, early
this year.
too. Yeah, I am
for us.
I'm gonna do quick two sidebars. One, I still remember going to the Target Center. I don't know if you remember this or not, Jared, but when MJ and the Wizards came to town, and I was just like, oh, Michael Jordan. Didn't look right in that uniform. Even at that young age, I knew that wasn't what it was supposed to be. But still, it was awesome to watch him play. And then I got another question for you guys. Would you spend $395,000 on a mattress?
No.
That's how much
Trick
Drake's
question.
bed cost.
No.
Fun fact.
That's how much whose bed costs?
Drake.
But
Jersey Drake.
But in our terms, how much of that is that of our money? Like $50?
I was say it's like $39.95.
That's
think
me
you're
buying
supposed to be
Take Care
flaunt-
3 times like I did.
Flaunting purchases like that when 20 plus million Americans are losing their jobs. It's probably no bueno.
Yeah, thanks. Way to go, Drizzy.
I saw one guy who was like, that thing better give me the ability to control my dreams and then make them a reality. There's no if I'm spending that much money, I'm not getting out of bed. So, fellas, let's talk the draft. Speaking of social media, which is where I got that information from, the Bengals tweeting out just a simple, short video of a person, a close-up on a matchbox, and someone striking a match. And then it's showing the Bengals logo and saying "Who Dey," to which the LSU football Twitter account quoted it and then posted the GIF of GIF of Joe Burrow smoking a cigar on the chair. It's getting spicy, folks. Spicy.
There's no doubt. I mean, does anyone doubt that he's going number one to the Bengals?
No, but it's just fun.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong pick, but I think it's the pick they have to make, unfortunately.
Whoa.
Kids from South, dude, not gonna be a good quarterback in the NFL. Write it down. Put it down.
Woo!
Whoa.
Write it down.
Scorching.
I don't see it.
So who do you think what do you think they should do at one?
I think they should take Tua, but they won't because Joe Burrow is from Southeast Ohio, blah, 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 heartstrings, blah, blah, blah. I think
Blah,
Tua
blah, blah.
is
Had like best college football season ever for a quarterback ever, blah, blah, blah. That blah, blah, blah.
Look at all the mock drafts and or on Thursday night, look at the amount of LSU players that will go in the first round. It's going to be Bama with a bunch because they always have them, and then it's going to be LSU with a bunch. That team was so stacked on offense, and a lot of them are coming back. But the guys that are upperclassmen are going to get drafted in the first and second round. The team was absolutely loaded. Now, I don't disagree that he's a really good player and should probably be a first and or second round pick. Like we were talking a little bit before the show, like Scott was mentioning some of the schmucks that have been drafted in the first 2 rounds. No question in my mind that he should be a first 2 round guy. I don't see the number 1 overall pick as Joe Burrow. Just don't see it.
Right now, 5 projected first rounders.
That's insane. That is insane.
And then 3 second
Think
round
about that.
and 2 third.
Yeah. Dude, that's 10 guys. Loaded. No other way to say it. They blitzed everybody this year. Smashed everyone.
Except
we were
for
we were the closest. Yes.
In Florida.
Yeah, I would disagree with you there.
Texas?
I was on LSU. Yeah, whatever. The first September, everyone's figuring out who they are. I don't necessarily put a whole lot of stock into anybody in September, but I just don't see it. The Bengals are a hapless organization, so whatever talent Joe Burrow has is going to go straight into the toilet bowl with the Bungles.
Yeah, Zach Taylor, I think he's way over his skis as a head coach. I saw something this week that they were ahead of 7 games this past year, and they went 2-14. They were leading at some point, or 13 of the 16 games they were leading at some point. They went 2-14. So I think that it's going to be a disservice to Joe Burrow landing in Cincinnati, and I think it's going to be to the benefit of Tua because I think he's going to end up in Miami. I think they're going to find a way to get him into Miami, and I think that he's going to flourish there. Hopefully, I think that they have they've shown this past season with Brian Flores. They righted the ship after, obviously tanking into the year. They got some nice wins under the belt at the end of the year. And now, bringing a real quarterback and bringing a real offensive line. And, let's see what he can do. I think it'll be and also landing in the AFC East that is now Tom Brady-less, wide open. It's up for the takings right now.
I was going to say very bullish on the Dolphins. Ooh. In the future.
What do they do on Pardon My Take? Breaking news. Right, it just came across my little ticker here. Colts agreed to terms with Trey Burton.
Trey Burton, like
tight end
of Florida and Philadelphia Eagles fame.
Yeah, and huge contract for Chicago Bears and cut after 2 years.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We don't want
because he disappeared.
Well, he's got the blind man back there. There's a picture of Trubisky standing there, which if you're a Bears fan, it just has to suck watching every single Chiefs game. Just has to be horrible. And Burton's standing in the back of the end zone wide open, just waving his hands. And Trubisky's, it's literally right in front of him. Like his shoulders are squared to him. And if he just if he's looking straight ahead, it's a touchdown. But Lord knows what happened.
All right, if you guys are, apparently I'm on an island here with this Joe Burrow take, make me a case for Joe Burrow to the Bengals outside of he's from there.
No, I was just saying you are in the minority when it comes to media. I think he's got arm talent. Now, he's got small hands, so I guess I'll just have to sit on that one for a little bit because small hands are a bad thing for a QB these days.
Tua's got arm talent. So does Herbert.
I know, but I'm saying this is Herbert. You look at some of the throws, he wasn't as consistent as Joe Burrow was this year, and Tua blew out his freaking hip, and he's got 2 tight ropes in his ankle. Endorse my company a little bit there, but it's. He's banged up. And as much as you don't want to admit it, if you do something that traumatic to your bone, you're gonna kind of have arthritis. It's kind of gonna come.
That I agree with.
And if you are looking for a franchise quarterback, then you have to go with the person that is either now. If I think that Tua has a better portfolio than what Burrow brings to the table, showing really 1 year, because you and I weren't very high on him at the start of the year, but he got hot, and that's what happens. Could it turn out to be like a Trubisky where he played 1 year and it was pretty solid? I mean, I think Burrow had a better year than Trubisky, and you don't have as much tape, but can he have a longer shelf life? And I think that Burrow can have that.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that there's Burrow, there's Tua. I would take Tua over. I take Burrow, but I think Burrow, top 5 pick. I think the drop off after that. I mean, I don't want any piece of Justin Herbert. A lot of hype around Jordan Love. I'm passing on these guys. I think those are you want Tua or Burrow. I think you're just taking flyers with the rest. So I'm curious to see if teams start reaching for Herbert or Love early in the first round after Tua and Burrow come off the board. But, there's a lot of misinformation out there right now in the Twitter sphere of who's targeting Herbert, who's targeting, there's news out there that the Giants are targeting Justin Herbert. He's number 1 on their board since last year. I mean, can I get Daniel Jones in New England somehow? Like, how do I make that happen?
That's a great background there, Micah. The answer to your question, Scott, is a definite yes. Somebody will reach for a quarterback and freak out. Mm-hmm. See Christian Ponder. See,
don't do that.
What's his face? Paxton Lynch. See, I mean the moratorium, or the not the moratorium. What the morgue of body bagged quarterbacks is full.
Who's that team going to be though?
I don't know. It's a good question. But I feel like someone will reach, because if you don't have a quarterback in this league, you cannot win a Super Bowl.
No.
And I don't want to hear this Trent Dilfer shit. It's 20 years later.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco at least can throw the ball. Trent Dilfer
couldn't dimes, baby.
He couldn't get it more than 15 yards downfield, dude. Flacco at least could throw it.
There's a certain quarterback who shall not be named, but completes a lot of 15 and under yard passes and has won multiple Super Bowls.
Does he wear number 12?
He does, and he just copyrighted TB times TB.
A legend.
I will not hear this blasphemy.
All right, Scott, let it out. Let's hear the rant.
Yes.
So Dan Shaughnessy, who I think just lives to be a troll in Boston media, was talking about how he was, Gronk turned his back on the Patriots and we should be booing him out of town. And I mean, these are just the most insane Patriots fans that there are out there. The guy, every time he was on the Patriots and he played, we were in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. The guy played through so many injuries, through, broken arm, broken leg. This guy put his life on the line all the time for the Pats. So he was worn out. He didn't want to play for Bill Belichick anymore. We won 3 Super Bowls with him. We went to 5 with him. And people are going to boo him out of town because he doesn't want to play for Bill Belichick anymore. The worst fans. And then also any fan who's not rooting for Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, also a crazy person. 20 years, you're never going to experience success like you have with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for the last 20 years. And you are disappointed that he's leaving the Pats. I mean, obviously I'm sadsies, but I want him to win. I'd love to see him win another Super Bowl, as long as it's not against the Patriots. So this brand of Patriot fan right now who's disappointed in Tom and disappointed in Gronk are just the worst brand of fan. And me, I'm pumped for this next chapter of Patriots football. Jarrett Stidham era, give it to me. I can't wait to see what this offense looks like. I can't wait to see what Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels does this offseason, because they're going to be super motivated. Give me this new era of Patriots football. The blast from the past was awesome. It was great. Time to move on. Business decision.
I can tell you right now, if Stidham is under center week 1, if there's football or whatever, it's going to be fade train USA from this guy, 100%. I could not agree with you more on the Gronk thing. He was playing games in wheelchairs, taking them to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. Like, that guy was literally mortgaging the future of his life. He's not going to be able to walk when he's like 55. So, you Patriots fan need to just zip it. I think Scott hit the nail on the head. 20 years of absolute dominance. Like, can it? The guy said, I don't want to live my life in a wheelchair after like 45, so I'm going to retire. And I think he knows he can go down to Tampa, a little warmer, bones a little looser around the muscles, a little looser around the bones, and can catch some balls from his boy TB12, hang out at the beach, dance with his neon shorts, and enjoy himself a little bit.
I think if Tom re-signed with the Pats, he would have came back to play with the Pats. I think he's only chasing Tom Brady. Also, the last year that Gronk was in New England, if you watched the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, he plowed the way for Sony Michel in the AFC Championship game and had two of the biggest catches in the game, both on third down, to lead the final drives for them to score, and then had the biggest catch in the game in the Super Bowl. I mean, this guy was just a champ for the Patriots. If anyone boos him or Brady, the worst fans, and I hope I'm there. I hope they come back next year, both of them to Foxborough, so everyone can cheer for him. And then the Pats beat him. Jarrett Stidham, 5 touchdowns.
Oh, jeez.
But I think this is what the Patriots should do this year.
That's a max bet under if Scott's hanging that number.
Go reload the offense. Go draft a wide receiver. We need a running back to replace James White at the end of this year. Build offensive line, linebackers. That's what we need. Go sign Cam Newton to a 1-year deal. That's what the Patriots should do.
With all due respect, they have been drafting wide receivers for the last 15 years, and none of them have worked.
That's fair. They haven't worked.
Like, actually 0 of them, except for Julian Edelman. But Randy, I would contend, and I think even Scott would agree, he is not a number 1. He's a really, really good number 2.
We did draft Deion Branch, so we have that going for us.
Okay,
as well.
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Super Bowl MVP.
It's true.
So this is a gambling podcast. Anyone have anything that they really like in terms of prop bets?
I've seen Herbert starting to crawl ahead on some sites of being the second QB off the board.
I already bet Herbert under 6.5.
I like Jalen Hurts under 55.5. But actually, what I do like is I want to see what the Atlanta Falcons are doing.
Jalen Hurts is a rich guy. I would generally agree with you, Scott. Like, someone's going to reach for him late first, early second.
Third quarterback drafted. I mean, I just don't think there's a lot of juice there. I want to see what the Atlanta Falcons do. Their odds to win the division right now are plus 1,200, and I think that it's a little bit juicy because they have stability at head coach, they have stability at quarterback, and you have the Saints and the Tampa Bay Bucks. The hype train is going to be all rolling on these guys, and depending on how the Falcons addressed the running back and the tight end position in this draft, I think plus 1,200 is a little bit of a juicy bet for a team that's not going to have a lot of turnover in the offseason, brings back a lot of good skill players. Little juicy.
Resident jersey connoisseur, Micah. What do you think of the Falcons' new gear?
Meh.
Okay.
They got the throwbacks in rotation, which is clutch because those are some of the best uniforms, I think, in the NFL. But I've promised a friend I would wait and see what they look like on the field. I'm not a huge fan of it. It bothers me that they're doing it on all the jerseys now, of like the big ATL. I don't know. Just for some reason that bothers me. So we'll see. But we'll see. They just wear the throwbacks all the time. The Chargers got it right. Everyone loved the supercharger look and begged for it, and here they are. It's every jersey is a supercharger look, which is great.
Scott, I agree with you. I think Falcons plus 1,200 is a nice price. That division, I think, for like 3 or 4 years in a row, flipped worst to first a couple of years back. So I don't necessarily disagree with you. A lot of turnover there, and I would agree. I think you're going to be getting disgusting prices on Tampa and on the Saints based on, Tampa obviously based on the offseason and Saints based on output on the field last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that market's dried up. You're not going to get any value there. Everyone's just going to be pounding away at the Bucs or the Saints. So I think it's just a little cutesy right now. A little cutesy.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like I said, I like Herbert under. I already bet Herbert under 6.5. I like Derek Brown under 7.5. I just don't understand how he's not the best defensive lineman outside of Chase Young in this draft, and those are always at a premium. So I think he'll surprise to the upside. But then for the most part, I think a lot of this news that you see on Twitter is garbage. I think a lot of it is smoke signals and smoke screens, and something is going to happen that's going to upset in the first 10 picks. That's going to just throw everything off. Like, I'm trying to think of the names, like Vita Vea last year. It was another actually Washington. It was the guy the Jaguars took. Like, the Jags always throw a wrench by picking some like completely out of left field guy that'll just totally change everything up. So I think, as I said, Burrow's a lock for 1. Chase Young is a lock for 2. I think Miami's a lock for a quarterback, as is the Chargers at 6. And outside of that, it's kind of who knows. I mean, this Jeff Okudah stuff for the Lions, I think, is asinine. But what do I know?
Well, they did get rid of their corner, so I mean, I feel like they got to try and plug in place. I mean, Isaiah Simmons to me is probably the best defensive all-around athlete, I think, on the defensive side of the ball that you could get. If you're trying to bolster, your back seven, not your D line, I think he's an absolute freak for what he can do at linebacker.
I just think if you're going to take a corner at 3 overall, he's got to be like that whole side of the field is shut down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not worth it in my mind. Like lockdown and whatever, that gets thrown around pretty haphazardly, but I really feel like it needs to be that if you want to pick that high.
Yeah, I mean, could it be the, could be Patricia trying to do almost what Mike Zimmer did and just come in and like, okay, I'm going to draft my defense. I'm going to get my corner. I'm going to get my linebacker. I'm going to get this. And then I'm going to build my defense around those guys and my team around that identity. Or is it, are you going to end up stretching and just burn yourself and then you're out of the head coaching gig?
That's the problem for Patricia, because he needs to have a winning year this year or he's definitely going to be fired. So what do you do?
And I guess that's my thing. A corner doesn't help you do that.
Right. You
have Derek Brown on the defensive line. You have the Kinlaw kid from South Carolina on the defensive line. And then you have Simmons from Clemson at linebacker. And then you have Queen at linebacker from LSU. I would take any of those guys. I would try and trade back, obviously.
Yeah.
Take one of those guys and then get another pick. But I'm with you, Scott. Like, if Patricia goes 7-9 again this year, he's getting fired. And Jeff Okudah doesn't help him do anything. Doesn't help him win any games.
Yeah, I think the Lions are definitely the most likely team to trade out. Because if there's somebody later in the draft, I've heard the number 3 pick thrown around a lot. Because obviously you're going to want to get ahead of Miami or San Diego. And I wouldn't be surprised if those teams are – I think I've even heard Miami talking about trying to move up to 3. And I don't know if they're trying to get the Chargers to – like everyone kind of plays those board games. It's like in Moneyball when he tells the guy he's going to get such and such from this team. Is he interested? And, it's like all that stuff's going on it's a poker game. So
I think the Lions are open for business unless Chase Young drops them and Washington trades out of 2. Mm-hmm. But I don't see why they would do that.
What a mush move that would be from Washington.
I know they got gifted Chase Young. You just got to take him.
Like, this is not hard, dude. Just take the guy. Like,
yeah.
And Although I don't know. He's clearly a dominant talent based on what I saw with my eyeballs. But if you look at his stats, half of his sacks are against like Kent State, Ohio, Cincinnati. So it's like, I don't know. Still, again, dominant talent, but you have an NFL player like that going up against what are glorified high school players. He's going to dominate.
So, Scott, I want to go back to the Pats for a second. I think you addressed it a little bit, but obviously a lot of the Twitter sphere hype is Pats have been doing their homework on Utah State's Jordan Love. Did you already address this? Did I miss that?
No. I mean, I just want them to punt on quarterback. Let's see what you get with Stidham this year. I think what the Pats should do is they should address offensive needs, linebacker and defensive line. Go sign Cam Newton. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to roll the dice with Jarrett Stidham this year and Brian Hoyer. They're going to see what they have in him and then play for next year if it doesn't pan out with Stidham and try to address it by bringing in a vet next year. But I think they're going to roll with Stidham. So I don't want them to go drafting Jordan Love. I don't want them to take a flyer. I'm sure they'll draft a quarterback later in the draft. There's some talk about this Florida Atlantic kid. But you got to see what you got to them. If you're going to waste a 4th-round pick on him and not play him this year and just sign Brian Hoyer, it just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But if I'm the Pats, they don't really have cap space to sign Cam Newton, unfortunately, unless they move off Joe Thuney or restructure his contract. So I'd love to see Cam Newton in New England. I think it'd be an awesome fit for their offense and really shake it up, but we'll see what happens.
Cam is the offense. He doesn't need anybody else.
I
love me some Cam.
I'm seeing 7 wide receivers right now on some mock drafts in the first round. Have you ever seen that in your lives?
No,
but it's
who's the pick? CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy?
Oh man,
I think it's Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I think Ruggs is in this draft too. I mean, dude,
they got them going 11, 12, 13. Like just boom, boom, boom.
Dude, I mean, I watched games of them this year where they were literally open by like 7 or 8 yards in the SEC, which is just unprecedented. I mean, they shredded us, and we had probably a top 3 or 5 defense in the country last year, and they just were like, dude, what's his face? Who's the Matt Jones?
2 guys stay back too, which is
great. You could have had me throwing these noodle arm out there with the guys were 10 yards open. Insane.
Scott, just to put this in perspective, there was a video of them. I think they were playing Tennessee, but the receivers broke the huddle and they knew which route was going to be the touchdown route, and they played rock paper scissors for who was going to get to run the route.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like they're just absolutely disgusting. One thing I will say about my Vikings real quick. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded one of those first rounders back a little bit further with lots of question around Anthony Harris, who's yet to sign his franchise tag. Don't be surprised if they trade back and get son of former Minnesota Viking great Antoine Winfield Jr. In the second round.
Ooh.
I'd be a big fan of that one.
So who do you want the Vikings to target at 22 and 25 if they don't trade back?
You got to address cornerback because we lost literally everyone. You lose Xavier Rhodes. I don't really think a lot of the drafts got us trying to take a receiver. I don't think that's necessary to draft someone that early, but. You got to address corner for sure, and maybe throw in another defensive lineman or like an edge rusher with the loss of Everson Griffin just to kind of complement Danielle Hunter. Otherwise, I think that defense would be, you plug those 2 positions in, I think you're fine. So we'll see.
Yeah, these wide receivers are loaded.
Yeah.
Laviska Shenault is rated the 14th best. Tyler Johnson, who we saw in the Outback Bowl, was an absolute beast at 19. T. Higgins, who I think is an amazing talent, is number 7 ranked wide receiver in the draft, according to Kuiper. I mean, yeah, the top is just Judy, Lamb, Jefferson, Ruggs will be on rosters for 10 years. I mean, we're talking probably 3 of those guys are Pro Bowlers in my mind, especially with the new rules of the NFL. Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, running backs are loaded too. All kinds of fun stuff.
It's going to be great. I can't wait. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, it's a chance to talk about something live actually happening in front of us.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. It's slowly starting to trickle back into our lives. It's been great.
Ooh.
What's up, Jared?
Scott, is Jake Fromm going to go in the first round?
No.
No.
Chance.
No way.
You are the biggest mush on the planet.
What? Really?
He stinks, dude. He stinks.
He's not calling you, Scott, a mush. I think he's saying that, that Fromm is a mush.
No, Fromm is a mush.
No, I thought you meant that one of our mush buddies is trying to bet it.
Oh, no. If he was, then I would be on the other side instantly. I wonder if he's got a thing. Anyways, you can close up shop, my guy.
I was going to say, you guys got anything else you'd like to add?
I'm rambling now.
2 things. 1, been stuck at home, so I've been hitting the Peloton. So if you want to catch me or Jared on the Peloton, my username is OMGSJP. You can challenge me to a duel on the Peloton. I'll see you on there.
You can. Scott will kick your ass, everybody. I am also on there. I think I'm just Jared Larson. I think it's pretty new for us, and I got apps. We did it once, and Scott obliterated me, like embarrassed me. And it was something where like I was gonna do it. It was on Easter, actually, right?
Was Easter? Yeah.
And I wound up doing it later in the day, and you just I didn't even send you what I scored. It was so far away from yours. I couldn't do it.
You can see the stats. Stats don't lie. So you can pick us up on the Peloton. Also, because I don't have much entertainment in the house, please send us your movie recommendations, because I've gotten through the end of Netflix and I need something new. A new movie, a new TV show, or you can challenge me at Words with Friends. Tweet at us at Pigskin Junkies.
It's true.
Website is coming very soon.
Well, website. Everything's coming.
Website.
Well, thank you so much, Junkies, for tuning in. Challenge Jared and Scott on the Tauntaun. Get after him on that. There's a Star Wars movie reference for you. And they smell just as bad on the inside as they do the outside, in case anyone was wondering. We hope you have a wonderful draft day, and hopefully we can all get back to normalcy here soon, and we don't have to riot in the streets for our football to come back, which I guess riot in the streets isn't a good thing to say right now. But anywho, we don't talk politics on this show. We're out of here, Junkies. Thanks so much for tuning in.
See ya.
Later.